Storm Shadow missiles supplied by the UK to Ukraine have become useless iron blocks. The Storm Shadow long-range cruise missiles supplied by the UK to Ukraine are said to have become useless after the US stopped providing intelligence and coordinates of Russian targets to Kiev. The Storm Shadow missiles produced by the UK have become useless because the US no longer provides target coordinates. The British Daily Mail reported on March 6. The British newspaper quoted an unnamed source as saying that although the West can provide Ukraine with modern long-range weapons, in the end, without the US satellite and reconnaissance network, weapons such as the Storm Shadow missile will also become useless. The UK first announced the provision of Storm Shadow cruise missiles to Ukraine on May 11, 2023. The then British Defence Secretary Ben Wallace confirmed the transfer of this long-range weapon to help Ukraine enhance its ability to strike targets deep behind Russian defence lines. Storm Shadow is a stealth cruise missile with a range of about 250 kilometers, allowing Ukraine to attack important targets such as ammunition depots, command posts, bridges and logistics lines of Russia that they could not reach with their existing weapons. In November 2024, Western media reported that Ukraine used the Storm Shadow missile for the first time to attack a target in Russian territory. Moscow at that time accused Kiev of not being able to carry out such an attack without the help of the administration of US President Joe Biden. The Ukrainian attack is said to have caused significant casualties among Russian allied forces deployed in the Kursk region. This week, Russian military expert Andrei Maroko told TASS news agency that without the satellite navigation system and intelligence provided by the US, the Storm Shadow missile would be just a useless block of steel. According to Mr. Maroko, the effectiveness of the Storm Shadow missile depends on a complex network of data provided by NATO and navigation systems controlled by the US. When Washington withdraws these supports, the implications for Ukraine are profound. According to experts, US President Donald Trump is showing how much Ukraine depends on the US and that without US support, Kiev is practically unable to carry out long-range strikes accurately. The UK has not disclosed how many Storm Shadow missiles have been supplied to Ukraine since 2023. The last time the UK Ministry of Defence confirmed the supply of these missiles was in April 2024 under British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. US considers withdrawing troops from Germany. Moving to Hungary, President Donald Trump is considering withdrawing US troops from Germany and deploying them to Eastern Europe. The information was reported by the British newspaper Telegraph citing informed sources from the White House on March 7. The US has more than 35,000 troops stationed at dozens of bases in Germany, and Washington also deploys nuclear weapons in the NATO member country. With disagreements with many European allies over how to deal with Russia and resolve the conflict in Ukraine, President Donald Trump could order US forces to move elsewhere. The US leader wants to end the conflict in Ukraine as soon as possible. But President Volodymyr Zelensky has remained tough, while many EU members have reaffirmed their commitment to support Kiev. President Donald Trump is angry that they, Europe, seem to be fueling the conflict. A source told The Telegraph. Responding to The Telegraph's request for comment on the above information, a White House official said, "No specific decisions have been made, but the US military is always considering redeploying forces around the world to best address the current and emerging threats to our interests." The US has about 160,000 active duty troops outside the US, most of them stationed in Germany. It is reported that if President Donald Trump withdraws troops from Germany, he will likely send troops to Hungary, a country that has had good relations with Russia over the years. The US president is considering redeploying some US troops in Europe to focus on NATO countries that have increased defense spending. It is also part of the US plan to support NATO members with higher defense spending. The White House boss has repeatedly criticized NATO countries for not meeting the target of spending 2% of GDP on defense budgets, arguing that this disparity puts an unfair burden on the US.